Hi there, this is Nicola from Forever Young Autobiographies and welcome to my channel. This is the place to learn how to write your autobiography for family and friends so that unique memories can live on for future generations. Now I'd love for you to subscribe to this channel and hopefully like this video. Today's topic is how to write birth stories in 4 easy steps. So, I'd like to start with a bit of a story. Now, this month, October, is a very busy month for our family. We have actually probably half a dozen birthdays in this month, especially my mum and my son. He's turning 3. They share the same birthday, which is pretty cool. So, around this time, there's lots of birth stories and birthday parties. There's lots of reminiscing going on. And I thought, these are such great stories. Surely we have to record them. Now, when we talk about birth stories and autobiographies, of course, by the very nature, we have to have a birth story in there. Now, you might be thinking, I can't write about my own birth. How would I do that? But, you know, the fact is, it's not just your own birth that you probably have to put in your autobiography. There's birth stories that might be associated with your parents, with your siblings and with your own kids especially, and any other family members that you might want to mention. So how do we go about it? So I've got 4 tips for you today, so we'll jump right in. Now, number 1 is, okay, how do I find out some information? I have my memories, which is great, and we can mine those. But there's other things that you've got around your house and that are easily accessible on the internet to help you fill in some gaps. Now, number 1 I would suggest is going and looking at your photo albums. You'll be able to be a bit of a detective and have a look at those photos and pick out some extra details and facts to include in your memoir writing. Another source would be a newspaper. Now, I work for a newspaper, and the baby stories that are written up most days are probably some of the most well-read parts of the paper. Everybody loves the baby story. So there's a good chance that your parents might have put in a classified to announce your birth or of a loved one's birth, or you might have even had yourself featured in a story, which would be great. Now, a lot of these newspapers have been digitised and are available online for free. So I recommend Trove for the Australian version, but you know, investigate for your region or your area. So there's 2. Another one would be looking back through your memorabilia. Now, the hospital gives out the little cards with all the factual information that has the name, the date, even the midwife, sometimes their name of who delivered you. So that's a great place to start for collecting key information. You might even be able to visit the hospital, and maybe they have some kind of access for you to get some more details. So there's some key things just to keep that in mind before you start writing. So gather all the information that you can, and then we're ready to begin. So how do we start? We want to make a good story, so we need to give a bit of context, a bit of a background. So I would probably start with the parents. Who is the parents of this baby? How did they meet? Who are they? Give a bit of an introduction. Then you might be able to talk about the pregnancy. When was it planned? Or was it a surprise? You know, tell us a little bit about that. How did the pregnancy progress? And then how did you get to hospital? Or was it a home birth, and why? There's some key background information. So we can start with that. So point number 3, we've started. Now we're going to get to the main action, the birth, so to speak. So now, some people may not want to give a lot of detail, and sometimes things are quite difficult. There might have been complications, or it might be a difficult story to tell. So I'll give some tips for writing difficult stories. I'll leave a card above so that you can find out some more information there. But yeah, disclose as much as you'd like to disclose. Some people like to disclose a lot if it was the birth of your own child. Some people might not like to give too much at all. So see how you go. But key things would be, you know, when did you get there? How long did the labour go for? Who was there? Was it a nurse? Was there doctors? Was your husband or a friend or family member there? Who was there? Were there any complications? And then, you know, the delivery, like tell us a little bit about the baby, what's its name, that kind of thing. So that would be the main thing. But keep in mind too who you're writing for at this point. You got to think, okay, it might be interesting to me, but people reading this story. So remember to keep that in mind. The other thing to remember would be, you know, this might be read in the future. Things that you think are trivial about a birth might be quite memorable or unique in the future. So don't overlook small things. Try and think of it from your audience's perspective. So to finish, we've had a good set up the story. We've got the main event of the birth, and now we're going to wrap it all up to give this story an ending. So I would probably start with the name, go into a bit more about the name. What was the name? What's its meaning? How did it come to be chosen? There's lots of family connections that are associated with this, and it's usually a really good entry point. So make sure you include that. Now you've also got so a bit about the baby, like what was its temperament, who does it look like, has it got any special characteristics that have been come down the line. So put that in. Talk about the mum and baby's recovery. This is a really good point. Sometimes, like back many generations, women were confined to bed for 2 weeks. So, you know, things have changed. What might have been normal then is completely abnormal now and of interest to your readers. So there's some other ones. On an emotional level, you might like to reflect how you're feeling after the birth. You might like to document your reaction to how the arrival of this birth or other people's reactions to this birth, and give some reflections, like have you got any guiding messages about the whole the whole process of the birth. So that would really wrap up a story nicely, giving you analysis and reflection. So there you have it. I hope that's given you some writing prompts to get your baby stories recorded. So we might just recap there what we've talked about. Number one is planning, getting your research and getting your key facts and ideas. So that's from newspapers, photo albums, etc. Then you need to write the backstory, which is mostly about the parents and the pregnancy. Then you have the main birth and what happened there, and then you finish off with the baby and a bit of reflection about recovery and the wider audience. So that would make a really good story. I hope that would inspire others to get theirs down. If you'd like to know more, I've got a whole article on my website for you about this topic. You can go to foreveryoungautobiographies.com, and for viewers, I've also got a free training for you, which is how to nut out your autobiography chapters. I go through some key exercises with you. It's completely free. It's just some exercises, and by the end of it you have your key memories that you'd like to include in your autobiography. So that's just a free giveaway, and you can sign up for that down below. And if you've got a familiar or family birth story that you'd like to share, put it in the comments down below. There really are some coincidences and memorable stories associated with births. So yeah, we'd love to hear about it. And if you found this video helpful, I'd love for you to subscribe and hopefully give it a thumbs up. It really does help people find this channel. So thanks for watching, and until next time, happy writing.